You are listening to the Manhattan Triathlon Club Leading from the Front podcast. We are based in Manhattan, Illinois, a southwest suburb of Chicago. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle at Manhattan Tri Club. We hope you like the show. Hello, welcome to the Manhattan Tri Club Leading from the Front podcast. We're back at it. We got the whole crew here today. We got April. Hey, April.
Hey.
Bridget is here.
Hey, everybody.
Grace.
Hi, everyone.
And we have a couple of special guests that we're going to let you know about here shortly. But this is going to be all about swimming. And I know everybody in the Midwest here, we're all swimming because the weather's so bad. So we either ride the trainer or run on a treadmill or swim. And I think most of us choose swimming. So we're very excited to have this show. It's going to be really cool. So hopefully everybody gets a lot out of it. So let's start off by we'll each give our background on our swimming and go around the horn with April, Bridget, and Grace, and then I'll close it out, and then we'll introduce our special guests.
Awesome. I have a freezing issue with my camera today, so I hope, Chad, that you said, April, go ahead and tell us what your experience was with swimming. Yes?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So I learned to swim probably about a year and a half ago because bestie Bridget pushed me into a Midwest lake, and I almost got brain eating amoebas. So sacrificed my life to learn how to open water swim and just swim in general, because before that, I just, paddled around in my backyard pool. So that is pretty much the extent of my experience, but I have fallen in love with it because it is this amazing, whole body activity and sport. So that is why I love swimming. I think it feels really good, and it's something that's super challenging. And then kick it over to Bridget.
Awesome. Bridget.
Yes. So I started swimming when I was 5. My mom made me do swim lessons, and I swam my first 25-yard backstroke when I was 5 and got my first blue ribbon and was hooked ever since. So I swam all through grade school, high school, a little bit in college, practiced with the college team, but just love. I mean, I just keep on going back to swimming. Swimming is my love. So.
Yeah. And Bridget's our team coach, so she instructs all of us.
I don't know about that.
Most educated for sure.
So I think I learned to swim. Yes. 2 or 3 years ago, I learned to swim. I didn't know how to swim, never had lessons. And I I'll sign up for triathlon. That'll make me learn to swim. So I signed up for triathlon and I learned to swim. I have only one speed, but I do enjoy it.
Grace is awesome. Grace is the first one I met, and I started swimming about 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago, and I signed up for an Ironman because I'd done marathons and got really good on the cycle, and I was thought to myself, I'm an athlete, so why not just sign up for an Ironman? And I didn't start with the half. I went right to the full, and I thought swimming was going to be a piece of cake. And I went to the local pool at the health club, jumped in the water, and I literally couldn't get across the 25-yard pool. And thought, what did I do here? And so I spent the next, up until now, learning how to swim. And one of the
he's still learning.
One of the tools,
he's still learning.
I'm still learning for sure. One of the really cool tools, is I found this Effortless Swimming, and on YouTube I saw Brenton Ford had all this content, and I joined Effortless Swimming membership and got the courses, and I did the beginners freestyle and the 5-step catch program or 5-day catch program, and really tried to teach myself how to swim. And it got me to the point where then I could join the Masters Club and start. That's when I met the girls here, Bridget, April, and Grace. And um, I attribute getting me to the point where I didn't quit to Effortless Swimming, and that's why we're so excited here today, because we have Brenton Ford and Tasmynne Roe as our guests.
And the crowd goes wild. Ah!
And the way this came together was a month or two ago, Tasmynne reached out in an email and just asked how my swim journey was going. And I told her that my response was, it's going well. I got through my Ironman. I've done 2 Ironmen since I started, and a couple halves. And I said, hey, by the way, we just started a local tri club here in the suburbs of Chicago, and would you and Brenton be interested in coming on our podcast? And they went to talk about it, came back and said yes, and then we freaked out. So we had a pre-call, and we went through a lot of topics with Brenton and Tasmynne, but this is really exciting for us. So Tasmynne and Brenton, thank you for joining us. We look forward to a really cool conversation and showing our listeners and our friends in the community just what an awesome resource you guys are and can be to anybody that wants to get into triathlon, because we want to help get people into the sport. We want to help coach people from an athlete perspective of you don't need the fanciest bike, you don't need the best swim goggles, you just need to get up and do it and have that drive. And to have the resource like what you guys put out is just amazing. So thanks. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves and tell us about your platform, we'd love to hear you talk.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having us on. When I first started coaching, I was coaching adults, and I came from a swimming background, and I thought, well, if I ask someone to do something a certain way, immediately they should be able to do that. And I quickly realized, well, that is not the case. So I had to come up with a better way to explain things and coach things. So that's kind of where Effortless Swimming was born. I was working with adults, but I wasn't able to kind of translate my swimming ability to coaching other people, and so that's where Effortless Swimming started. And I've really loved working with adults over the last 18 years or so that I've been coaching, and that's why we really enjoy getting on podcasts and working with like people like you guys who are fairly new to swimming for most of you, and it's something that can be quite daunting, but I think if you learn the right way, then it can become really enjoyable. So I mean, that's kind of how I got started. But Tas, did you want to give a bit of your background?
Just jump. And yeah, I mean, similar to Brenton. So I came from like a very traditional swimming background, very similar to, I think it was Bridget, right? You started at 5. I can't even remember. I started from 2, and then I was in galas at 6, and that was really like my whole life pretty much. But yeah, came from a very traditional swimming background. I was very fortunate that I got to train with this amazing Hungarian coach. He's an Olympic coach my whole swim career. So that was just the best source of knowledge that honestly I could have taken, it just in terms of technique and how to train and structuring the sets. But then as Brent said, it's taking that works with more, traditional swimming, if you will, or competitive swimming, and then translating that to adults. So that's, I think, what we both enjoy. We both, I think, enjoy really just encouraging swimming as a whole. And the best way that we've noticed we can do that is really just to try and simplify things and really just get that message across so that swimmers get in the water, and ultimately, number one, they get in the water, and then secondly, they're enjoying it. And then if speed and performance comes out of that, then that's just like a cherry on the top for both of us.
Do you also, like Bridget, have to push? So you say get in the water, but do you have to push them into the water? Like it's like a let's get going?
Sure.
Yep.
Just like Bridget does, right?
in the beginning, and then you just kind of have to like change your approach, right? So I mean, I was probably the same with you, Bridget, like, right? And I know that that's one of your questions, Chaz, and we will get back to that, but just in terms of like how do you change your mindset, right, from going from coaching, if you were, doing more competitive, maybe younger athletes in comparison to triathletes, you do have to change your approach. So originally, yeah, yes, not so much now.
And that's what really attracted me to your guys' platform. There's a lot of content on YouTube and Instagram and different Swim Smooth and all the different ones that you guys know. And what really made me gravitate to you guys was how simplified you made it for an adult. And I don't care how athletic you are, you can be the best cyclist. That does not translate to the pool, and you got to put the work in. And some of the techniques and the skills that you guys teach, the simple cues of, I mentioned the power diamond and train tracks, just little cues that even now I still think about as I'm swimming. And I'm like, all right, am I in the power diamond, or is my hand too far under? And then I know I revert to some bad habits. I'm not a very flexible upper body. I'm a bigger guy. They all make fun of me because I can't touch my shoulders to my ears when I put my arms up, but I can ride the hell out of a bike. So it's really, it made me more comfortable to learn how to apply these principles with the way you guys teach, and that's really what made me gravitate to you guys. And so thank you for that. And
so what is the primary demographic of your members? Is it mainly older swimmers, or do you have a wide range, all triathletes, different? Who do you generally work with?
It's originally when I first started Effortless Swimming, I was coaching a masters team, and that's who I kind of started, I guess, targeting our content and clinics and all that sort of stuff for. But I quickly came to realize that the majority of people who are interested in the stuff that we do and the clinics and the camps and all that sort of stuff, it's primarily swimmers aged 30 to 60, mix of male and female, but they're either doing triathlon, open water swimming, or they're fairly new to swimming and they even were runners in the past and they can't run anymore, or they just want to pick up a different sport or a different hobby. So that's who we mostly work with, and primarily with freestyle, much to Taz's chagrin that we don't do a lot of breaststroke because she's a former breaststroker and very good breaststroke coach. But most people are starting with freestyle, so we mostly focus on that. But that's who I think we can help the most, because that's kind of the biggest demographic out there of people who are getting into swimming. And we still do help people with their other strokes, but it's mostly freestyle.
we don't need the other strokes. Freestyle is all. That's all you need for triathlon.
Chad, speak for yourself.
Agreed.
How dare you, Chad?
We need a breaststroke. And Taz, I will tell you that my last swim meet, I came in first place in 50 breaststroke. So
yay, great job, April.
One of one, but we don't.
It doesn't matter.
We're going to delete that part.
So what do you all, this is not Chad's question, but really Chad's question. What do you all feel about swimming with floaty shorts and toys, or the neoprene shorts, or the paddles, the pull buoys? What are your views on that?
Oh, it's all cheating. All of those things you listed, it's all cheating.
Chad and I don't.
No, obviously not. No. Initially when I started coaching, I would have said it's making it easy on yourself and you're not learning the right way to swim and all that sort of stuff. But I've changed my way of thinking in the last probably 5-10 years. So for example, the swimmers in the squad that I swim with and I set the programs for, a lot of them are in their 50s, some of them 60s, and they have started to wear the floaty shorts to train because they keep up with the group. They can hit the times that they were doing maybe 5 or 10 years prior, and that just makes their training more enjoyable. And I see that with a lot of other athletes as well. It's like, wow, I quite enjoy wearing the buoyancy shorts because it keeps my hips up, I'm faster, and to me, that gets me to the pool and I'm much more motivated to swim. So if that's the case, then I think go for it, because it's much better doing that than not actually swimming because you don't enjoy it quite as much. So, each to their own. Obviously, you might develop better skills and better body position if you don't wear it at least all of the time, but it really just depends on the person. So individual case by case basis, really. So and if you're doing triathlon, you might have pretty tired legs from the run and the ride, so it can help to take the legs out of it and just be able to work on the upper body a bit more.
Brent, that was the wrong answer. We're trying to get Chad out of his floaty pants so that he can kick better and use his legs. I'm just joking.
I didn't get the memo beforehand. Sorry.
Very good answer.
We can rewind
we did not
a few
prep you
minutes
for that. All right, very cool. So what do you think, out of all of the sets or workouts that you do, what do you think is the most valuable? And what do you recommend for your adult athletes, like open water swimming frequency versus pool swimming versus speed, endurance? What are your thoughts on that?
Want to go, Tas?
Should I take this? I think, you'll find a lot of my answers are going to be like, it really just depends, right? Because I think with adult swimmers, not everyone has got the same circumstances in terms of what they've got access to, how frequently they can train, etc. So the gist of it is you just really need to work with what you've got. That being said, I would always try and encourage technique, number one. So most adults, they get the biggest gains from really moving through the water better, not just getting fitter. So that means you want to have slower swims where you're incorporating a lot of drills, technique focused sets where technique really stays a priority. And then secondly to that, we really emphasize really quality swims. And what we mean by that is, sometimes what we find with triathletes, especially runners and cyclists, they'll train, they'll swim the same way that they're training for a run. And you do kind of have to change it up a little bit, right? You can't really just be swimming up and down. You do need to do a variety of sets. So then we would encourage some aerobic work, some threshold work, and then some high intensity. In terms of how that would look, again, it really just depends on the swimmer themselves. But I mean, I can use an example. So we run like a squad. Chad, are you part of the do you do any of the squad workouts?
I was doing them last year. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I mean, then you'll see. So like we have a squad, and every month we pretty much put training sessions out for the whole month. And how we structure those is, I would say it's probably about maybe like 30% drill, maybe about like 10% kick and pull, and then the rest really makes up of some sort of like aerobic threshold and sprint work.
And in terms of open water versus pool, like it's going to depend on the person. So if you talk to any of the Olympic open water swimmers or the elite open water swimmers, they will be doing sometimes 10, 11 sessions in the pool and maybe one in the open water. It's more just like it's all in the pool because they are working on their fitness, because their skills, they've kind of developed their skills to the point where they can deal with what they need to in the race. Whereas if someone's newer, they're doing their first triathlon or their first open water swim, they might be best off trying to get into the open water maybe twice a week in the lead up to the triathlon and work on those skills and the comfort and the sighting and everything like that. So it just depends on where you're at with it. But generally it's like, open water is more for the skill development and the pool is more for the fitness and the endurance.
That's a really great point, because I think leading up to, especially my first triathlon, I don't want to speak for the rest of the group, there was a lot of mental aspect going into that open water swimming. So that skill comment that you just made really speaks to me, of not just physical skill, but like mental skills of getting into that water. And even when you jump in on your first race, the skill level or the chaos that's going on around you is so different than what you prepare for, because you don't usually jump into the water with 50 other people. So that was really interesting and a really big learning moment for me. But us as a group try to do a lot of open water swimming, because it's not, our natural skill. It's Bridget's natural skill. When, Chad and I are like, let's jump in with a wetsuit, and Bridget's like, oh, come on, like, this is swimsuit, 60 degrees, you're fine, let's just keep going. So that makes total sense what you said, endurance in the pool versus skill in the open water. And then you mentioned something earlier, Brent, especially, both of you mentioned talking about coaching adult athletes and how you really enjoy coaching adult athletes. But I'm curious to know what differences you see in adult athletes versus age groupers versus the younger group, or even the adult athletes. If you want to name drop any of the amazing swimmers or triathletes that you train or coach, feel free to. I don't want to do it for you, but I'm curious to know what you think of the difference.
From my experience, so obviously adults, they want to be there. They've driven themselves to the pool. They've gone there after work. Whereas if you're working with teenagers or younger, a lot of them want to be there, but a lot of them are there because of mum and dad. So for me, it's just like, you've got committed swimmers, you've got dedicated swimmers there, and they're really eager to learn. So when we run clinics or we do our overseas camps, like, everyone wants to be there. So I really like that aspect of it, because that way you can give a lot and you see those results, because people are really listening intently and keen to work on things. And then in terms of, say, like a professional triathlete that might work with, compared to someone who's been in the sport for a year or two, it's really, and the same thing goes for elite level swimmers and swimmers that are new. It's like those adjustments are very small. So I did an analysis session with Kat Matthews last year or the year before, and it's like, she's got a very nice stroke. She there's not a lot that I could pick up doing the underwater filming and analysis. Like, she's developed a really good stroke. The thing that she got the most out of was the open water session that we did, where for her, it's like, I don't want to speak for her, but like, it was like a confidence thing. Like, bike, particularly the run, she's so confident. She's like, I own this space and I can outrun. I'm going to dictate what people are doing here. But in the open water, that wasn't the case, because swimming wasn't her initial sport. And so I think kind of just developing the confidence with that, and then also just refining some of those skills. So it's much more 1%ers at the elite level. What about for you, Tas?
Wait, I'm so sorry, Taz. Before you jump in, I just want to recognize that, because I think that's so reassuring as a recreational athlete, that even elite swimmers still need to build confidence in open water swimming. So that is super reassuring and just really lovely to hear. I like, because you think, the elite athletes are fearless and incredible and they have superpowers. So they do. That's just really nice, because they do. I mean, her lack of confidence is very different than like my lack of confidence, but for me, trying to build on if anything, like,
they
that's awesome.
Quite often they doubt. Sorry, April, you cut out, so I'll probably cut you off there. But
you're good.
If anything, I've seen, like, with the professional triathletes, and swimmers as well, like, quite often they doubt themselves more than an age group triathlete. It's like, because they're comparing themselves to the very best person, like they doubt themselves a lot. So it never goes away, I don't think.
And we're just delusional, right?
Well, I mean, we watched it all unfold that way at the World Championships in Kona with Lucy Charles and Taylor Knibb at the end there. They just gave everything they had, and that was brutal. I mean, those conditions were unbelievable, and Kat Matthews did amazing in that race. She went from fourth to ended up in second, right?
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, that's it. And the other thing with that too, like, if you are new to the sport or you've even done it a couple of years, it's so exciting because there's so much room for improvement. You know, if you're at a 2:15 per 100, getting down to that 1:30, it's like, oh, there's so many things we can do. So I think that, and that's why, speaking for myself, like I really like working with that kind of speed, that kind of demographic, because there's so much that you can do. Whereas those 1% changes, you know, you might be working for a year to find 2 seconds per 100. Like it's, Whereas with someone who's at 2:15, you can get big results in a fairly short space of time.
Exactly.
Grace will get there. Grace, you'll get there. I promise.
All right, very
Taz,
cool.
did you want to add anything, Taz, or no?
No, I mean, I think Brent covered it completely. I think maybe just like from like a coach's perspective, the difference just in terms of, and it's pretty much what we touched on earlier, but in terms of coaching age group versus adult, I think it's very much about being adaptable and really just about making each swimmer situation work for them. So like our approach is, we'll never just box a swimmer in and say like, this is the recipe. If you're not doing it like this, there's no form of improvement. There will be. We just kind of like have to make your situation work for them. So an example is, we've got a swimmer who submits his video for analysis every month, but he's not a fan of the pool. He will only want to swim in the lake, and the lake is like, it's freezing temperatures. He's swimming with gloves on, like with everything. And then it's like, okay, I mean, amazing. You're getting in, you're loving the lake. That's like a win in our book. So then it's like, okay, what drills can we give to him so that he can do it, in the lake? So it's not going to be, he's not going to use a lot of like gear or aids. We're really not going to give him complex drills to do. So I think that's quite fun, as well. When you coach adults, is that you can also be quite creative in terms of how you're coaching, really just based on the swimmer situation.
That's amazing.
And just to add to that too, like I've heard other coaches, I've had this fed back from swimmers where they've had a coach and the coach has said, like, you're not going to get any better. You just need to like train harder, and you just need to increase your fitness. And it's like, what kind of attitude is that towards coaching someone? It's like, that's the easy out, to say like, no, just work harder. Like you're not going to be able to change anything. It's like, well, that's not true. Like, why? I don't know. I think it's just an easy out for some coaches. So I hate hearing that sort of thing from others, and so that's why we like to be adaptable with people. And we've seen people of all different speeds and abilities really make good progress. And as Taz said, it's about finding the right approach. And we had a swimmer last year on our Maldives camp, and first session she was basically afraid to almost get in the water. She had a toe float with her, wouldn't go past waist depth, and like would gas out in about 25 meters. So she was really kind of timid. And at the end of the camp, and it was 5 days, at the end of the camp, she swam around the entire island, which was 2K. And she was like, and it was tough too. It was like strong winds. There was a fair current, and she just stuck at it, and she got all the way around. And she's just like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And she was essentially in tears at the end of it. And that was in 5 days. So you can really make good progress in a fairly short space of time. And but I think you sometimes just need people who believe that you can do it, and not someone who says, no, you're not going to get any better. So that's our approach and philosophy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
People who want to be there. Yeah.
Well, and
reference technique. Sorry, Chad, go ahead.
I just want to follow up on that real quick before the next question, but just more a comment than anything. But as an older, I've been an athlete all my life. Coaching is important in any sport, and I think with triathlon you have 3 disciplines, and there's coaches that are good at 1 or 2. Very few of them are good at all 3 and being able to coach. And I think swimming is one where you really need a good solid foundation with your coaching from swimming, because think about it. Running is the easiest of the 3. You can put your shoes on, put on a tank top, go out and run, or jump on a treadmill. If you get a bike, you can go and ride your bike. You learn how to ride a bike when you're a little kid, and the bike doesn't take a lot of coaching. It helps. Running, there's good coaches there, but I think swimming, there's a lot of coaches in our area that are cycle focused or run focused, and I really believe that that the swimming focus that you guys offer, because you're a triathlete, Brenton, you've done Ironman, you've done triathlons, so you know what it takes to do the full sport, but you're not a purported cycling expert. And that's where I think that this level of instruction is so valuable. And as a side note, we've all been talking about kind of a bucket list trip to do like a swim vacation. As I think Bridget's 50th is coming up in a couple of years. We're going to do something for her 50th. So you may see us in the Maldives or something like that.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
Come join us.
But sorry, Bridget,
right.
I didn't mean
No,
to
you're
cut off
fine.
your question.
You're fine. Reference tools and skill transfer. How should swimmers use tools like paddles, fins, and snorkels without reinforcing the bad habits?
You want to take this, Tas?
So how can they use it without reinforcing bad habits? I mean, I like to think of tools are great in the sense that they're not necessarily going to hide a habit, right? Then I think it's really great. So for example, if someone has a poor body position, let's say, the best thing that you can do would be to, well, let me go back. You can hide a body position, right? As an example, if you just pop a pull buoy on and that's you done. But if you can kind of like just challenge yourself a little bit and start weaning your way out from using a aid versus not using aid and really do those transition sets, that's really going to be the best way that you can get the most out of it. So I'm really pro using any type of aid. I think it can be very, very helpful to isolating a certain part of the stroke, right? To slowing the stroke down, to really just being able to focus on a particular technique aspect, because a lot of the times what you see with swimmers is they really just kind of gun for it when they swim, and you really just need to slow it down with swimming, right? And aids can help with that. So I think as long as you can just find the balance in the sense that you're not overly relying on the aid, and you are still challenging yourself a little bit in terms of swimming a little bit more distance now, taking the pull buoy out or the snorkel out, and now trying to focus on your breathing or trying to focus on your body position, that's actually going to be the best way that you can learn to just really bridge that gap from where you're currently at to the technique that you're wanting to build to then transferring it over to normal free.
It's almost like they're the training wheels of swimming,
Yeah.
where it's like you want to make it easy on yourself to get the technique right. And so the fins help, the snorkel takes your breathing out of it. And then eventually you can take the training wheels off and make it a little bit harder on yourself. But with a lot of the skills, sometimes there's so much going on that we're best to just isolate a certain thing, like say rotation or body position or catch, isolate that movement with a drill and some tools. And then we can kind of work up to a harder way of doing it and eventually the full stroke. And that's a good way to develop that skill.
Love it. Thank you.
That's awesome. So I kind of touched on the cycling aspect, but why do you guys feel, or what's your opinion on why so many like really strong cyclists or really strong runners struggle with the swim, whether it's open water, just swim in general?
A combination of things it can be. One, I think, is the approach. It's like I've just grinded my way to being a good cyclist or runner. So they approach swimming the same way, where I'm going to muscle it, I'm going to work harder, and that's going to get me faster. But pretty quickly they find out that that's not the case. It needs a little bit more finesse and technique. The other one can be just getting used to using, like they're used to using their legs to go forward. So a lot of runners will often be trying to kick themselves forwards. And so they're trying to get too much propulsion from their kick, and it causes them to fatigue, causes their hips and legs to drop. And so they need to get used to holding or moving their legs in a slightly different way. And then often with cyclists, like sometimes cyclists will be a bit heavier in the back end. You know, they've got well-developed quads and a big butt and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, heavier down the back end. So you might need to work on your body position a little bit. And also like just figure out a way to use the legs effectively where you're not using too much effort and they're staying nice and high in the water. So they're some of the main ones. And also like quite often they haven't develop the specific upper body strength to hold their pace over a K or 2Ks. And so sometimes it just takes time with that as well. So it's a number of different things that can make it a bit challenging in the beginning, but there's no reason why you can't get good at that sort of stuff.
That's a great answer. I'm a probably a case in point. I'm strong upper body. I can put a pull buoy in and swim for hours. Take the pull buoy out, and my butt sinks, and I try not to kick, but that's what the girls were teasing me about. But yeah, it's definitely one of my struggles. Is I'm a little heavier on the bottom side and strong up top, but we'll get there for sure. It's like I said, it's one of those things. I love going to the pool and
one
working
point
on
with
it.
That, and one thing to note there that has helped a lot of other people that we work with is, like, when it comes to body position, it's one of my favorite things to do at clinics is that we'll get people to take a big breath in and then go into a ball. So they're just floating in a ball in the water. So just seeing the buoyancy that they get from their lungs, because it's like having a balloon there, that you push a balloon down, it wants to pop up. So your lungs will provide the majority of your buoyancy when you're swimming. So we do this ball float drill, and then I get them to do the same thing and then extend the arms and legs out. And in order to be horizontal in the water, you've got to have your chest as the lowest part of your body. So you've got to bring your arms in front of you and bring them back a bit. And then you've got to keep your legs out behind you, where you're kind of using your glutes and your hammies a bit to bring it out. Now, not everyone can float horizontally that way. Like if you're heavier through the legs, high bone density, whatever it is, like you might sink a little bit with it. But the thing about that is, like, most people can stay relatively horizontal just by holding their body correctly. So what we get people to do is firstly think about good posture. So head away from the toes, get long. Then you want to suck your tummy in and squeeze your butt cheeks together a little bit. And I've probably mentioned butt on this podcast too much, but it's a common point. So get long, get that tautness through the midsection, and then you can lean a little bit on your chest, like you're applying a little bit of weight through there. And that will push that balloon, your lungs, down into the water slightly, and that will help raise the hips and the legs. And so once they've done those floating drills, I then get them to swim 25 meters. And I say to them, make this the easiest 25 you've ever done. So they're very relaxed. They're not going for speed. But most of the swimmers look so good, so relaxed, and they move well, and they're sitting well in the water. And so it's not about trying to work hard to keep your body up. If you learn how to hold your body correctly, the water's there to support you, and you just need to know how to hold your body correctly. So that exercise of all the ones I find is the most effective for the biggest majority, the largest majority of the people that come to our clinics.
Can you just slide that video into Chad's DMs real quick? He's watched a lot of them. Maybe has missed that
one. Well, it's funny. We did right before the Christmas holiday. We did. April and I were the only ones that were able to do it. I think Grace was sick and Bridget was injured. Bridget just came off of an ankle surgery, so she just got back in the water. But we did 100 Saturdays, so as many hundreds as you could do in an hour and a half. And we both did pretty good. April did 46, and I did, or 45, 46, 45. I did 42.
Nice.
And so we were doing it on the 150. So we were going hard, and I kept getting a crook in my neck, and April's like, your head's too high. So I put my head down, and the very next 100, we were like 3/4 of the way through. The very next one, I did it like a 126 because my body position was up, but then I revert back to all the crap that I do anyway. So they've been trying to work with me to get my body position. But very good. You're making me look bad here, Brenton.
No, we just really like to rib. He's a really good cyclist, so we like to rib his swimming hard.
Yeah. So, moving on, how should triathletes balance technique work versus endurance work in the pool with the limited amount of time? swimming is the hardest of the three to actually go do, because you have to get in your car, you have to drive, it takes the most time. So most of us can only swim 2 or 3 times a week, 4 if we're lucky, in the summer times. But this time of year, it's we're lucky to get 3 times a week in. So how would you recommend balancing that technique versus endurance?
I mean, my favorite answer, it really depends on the swimmer, right? And where they're at. So, and I hate generalizing and I hate putting swimmers in like a box, but I would say a rough rule that you can somewhat work with is, or it is what I found is that if a swimmer is maybe like sub 2, they'll be pretty good off if they can do 75% like aerobic threshold and then like the remainder technique drills. That's pretty much like those ES squad workouts, Chad, that I mentioned earlier. That's like roughly how we're structuring those sets. Those type of drills will really carry the technique across. Yeah, I would say if you 2 and higher, then I think there's a bigger technique gap, and it's likely then that you need to focus on body position, breathing, those areas that are just going to take quite a lot of or they can take quite a bit of time or bit of focus to work on. And so if you are just only doing a little bit of drills to work on that, it's just going to be a little bit, I would say, maybe counterproductive there. So if that's the case, then I would recommend more technique focus, get the technique where we want it to be at, and then you can slowly transitioning into some like aerobic and threshold work. A rough guideline, I would say, with that, yeah.
Love that. That makes sense.
And also, Taz seems like such a kind coach. I want to show up to every one of your practices. She's like, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. I'm like, beautiful. I'll take 15 minutes to get in the pool, get acclimated first.
So we have one of
That's
our
actually
masters
good.
coach.
Yeah.
One of
Make
our
sure lie
masters
down a
coaches is his name is Chuck. I don't mind dropping his name, but Chuck is he's been around a long time. He coaches a lot of swimmers. He's seen a lot of swimmers, and he doesn't tolerate a lot of my nonsense. But I've had an elbow problem the past couple of weeks, and a little tendonitis in the elbow, and it doesn't hurt to swim, but I use that as an excuse not to swim last week. And April told Chuck that I wasn't there because of my elbow, and his immediate response was, "Well, you don't use your freaking elbow to swim. If you're using your elbow, then you're swimming
It's not a swimmer's injury."
So yeah, I'm in April's camp. Taz, I'm coming to your classes.
Yeah. We have sorry, just we when we were at camp last year at Maldives, so we put swimmers in. Each coach has swimmers, and I had this amazing swimmer. She was from Ireland. She was like just a badass. She was like a taekwondo like world champ. And she told me, she was like, "Are you always like, you're a bit too nice for me?" And I was like, "I'll be adaptable." And then I was like, "I'll change my approach," and I did. So it's about being adaptable.
Love it.
What would you guys say is the biggest mistakes triathletes make when they're training for the swim?
When they're training for their swim? Good question. So some of the main, I guess, maybe some of the main technical mistakes that I see is they have a tendency to overpower the catch in their stroke. That's a fairly common one. So what we like to teach is that your catch, which is the first part of your underwater stroke with your arm, use that as the setup phase, because we're not very strong overhead with our arms. And so use the catch as the setup phase to get your hand and your forearm to face backwards. So then you can start to apply a bit more power. Whereas the natural tendency is to want to go for broke and go hard in that part of the stroke. And you feel like if you go hard there, like you're actually doing something. But it's counterintuitive because you're probably just pushing mostly down. So I think use the catch as the setup phase where you might put in 4 or 5 out of 10 in terms of effort and then build up from there. That's one big one. Another one would be even like just head position. Like as sort of Chad mentioned there, it's like a lot of people think they've got the right head position, but quite often they don't. And especially if you're new to swimming, what I see all the time is that, I don't know if it's a comfort thing or people don't want to get water in their ears, but a lot of people just hold their head out of the water where just their face is covered. And so if you can reverse that and have 20% of your head in the water and the rest below, then you'll find that the 6 kilos that your head weighs is going to actually help improve your balance. So just like head position, breathing, really simple stuff and generally easy to change, at least with head position. That's one thing that people think they've got, but when we look at video, they often don't. And then in terms of training, I think a lot of people get stuck in swimming at the one speed. And I was certainly guilty of this when I was swimming as a teenager. It was like, yeah, like you might have an aerobic session and you're trying to keep your heart rate, ideally it'd be say zone 2. Except I used to think as a teenager, like the harder I go, the better I'll get. I didn't understand training zones. And so we end up in this gray zone all the time. But if you can do some sets where you are varying your pace, where you're going easy, medium, fast, and you're doing some sprint stuff like 25s or 50s fast with lots of rest, if you do that, you'll start to develop these different gears. And those different gears will obviously allow you to change speed, but also give you more control over the pace that you're going when you're racing. So that's probably one of the most common ones, is just always being in this gray zone with your training.
I'm so sorry, Brent. I was super distracted by Taz's mug. Do you have multiple mugs in front of you, Taz? Is one coffee and one is like margarita? Like, what are we doing over there?
I'm glad I came prepared, April.
I appreciate someone that comes prepared.
Thank you. I'm switching between my water, my lemon water, and my coffee. So
yeah, I heard margarita, right?
That's hidden on this. I can't say that out loud, but that's hidden on the side there. Yeah.
You can hear. You can hear.
Well, one comment to what you just, Grace. We all did a swim meet, and we did a 200 mixed relay, and we were disqualified because it was 3 ladies and 1 guy. So they disqualified us, but they let us do it anyway. And Grace did the freestyle, and Grace complains that she's 1 speed stuck in that 1 gear. She looked like she was shot out of a cannon because the pressure was on. She was racing, and her arm speed picked up, and she was going, and it was awesome to see. We're all like, look at her go, because she doesn't do it in practice.
I won slow speed. That's when I enjoy swimming. It's nice, it's calming. I assume my 1 speed is 1 speed because my stroke is not great. How long would you expect somebody how long does it generally take somebody to meaningfully change their stroke, to make their stroke better?
My favorite answer, Grace, it depends. I mean, I would say it really does. Look, it depends on what the main area of change is, I should say, how consistently someone's swimming. So some swimmers really struggle with body position. Kicking, sometimes I find that's something that takes, especially the guys that do tend to have more of a stiffer kick, something like that just takes a little bit longer than, for example, if someone's working on maybe entry or a little bit of like reach and rotation. So what I find is it really depends on the area of change. That being said, generally, I think, we like to think of like roughly like a 6-week-ish time frame, really for the stroke to feel more efficient and natural. That doesn't mean that the stroke is locked in, but I think with that time frame, most swimmers will start to feel at least a better connection in the water, less effort for the same type of speed, more consistency from stroke to stroke, and that's a win. That being said, I always like to just remind swimmers, if they are feeling like progress is taking a little bit longer. So one of the coaches that coach with us on camp, he is an ex-Olympian himself. He's an ex-Olympic coach, and he was breathing mostly, I think it was to the left, and he was telling us that only after like 2 months did he start to feel comfortable breathing to his non-dominant side. And that's coming from someone he's got the wealth of knowledge, plus he's an ex-swimmer himself, and if that's taking him that amount of time, just be patient and be kind to yourself and know that it will come. It's other swimmers, it just takes quick. So, you might be on a faster route than that, but it really just depends on where you're at, what you're focusing on.
And that same coach, he actually, he taught me this phrase, it's the pit of discomfort. And that's what you will typically go through when you're making changes to your stroke, where what you've done, you may have done for 12 months and it feels good and you've got those neural pathways all kind of sorted. But when you change something, it doesn't necessarily feel better initially. You go through this uncomfortable phase where it's a bit clunky, you're using different muscles. Because it's different, you might be using more of your muscles and you haven't got that efficient pathway developed yet. So you're very likely to go through this pit of discomfort where that's when a lot of people start to revert back to what they were doing, because they're like, well, this can't be right because it doesn't feel good yet. But if you can push through that and stick with it and not be too concerned about your times for the first 6 weeks or so, and just keep working at that technique, when you break out of that, that's when you often see the result. But that's also when a lot of people just go back to what they were doing. So I think it's helpful to know that that's likely what you're going to experience through any change that you make.
I was saying that as an adult, it's really exciting to do things that you're uncomfortable with, because there's not many places that you get that with your experience in life. And so like swimming is one of those places where it's exciting to be uncomfortable because you're learning something new. I would also like to point out that it sounds like Taz's answers also depend on what mug she's drinking out of. So if you're on YouTube, track the colors.
Yeah.
I appreciate this, April. Like, Chad might be the punching bag for you guys, but Taz can be the punching bag for swimming. So yeah, I'm glad it's not me this time. It's normally me. So thank you.
Well, all I can say is I'm honored to be in that company then.
Yeah, Chad. Thank you.
So one of the comments I was just going to make, I've watched a lot of your video analysis of different people that send their videos in. And what I really like is there's probably lots of different things going on in various strokes, but you guys only isolate one or two things to work on and then give them that to go work on and then come back after 4 to 6 weeks, because for adults, it could be brain overload. I mean, you be swimming thinking about, okay, reach, but now all of a sudden you're bending your knees when you kick and you're doing different things and your butt's sinking, and because you're trying to do too much at once. And what I really like is that you like spoon feed the critique and the coaching. It's very valuable.
Yeah, and it's almost like bite-sized moments too. So like I really love your videos that you put on socials, because it's like you're seeing a swimmer as you're doing that voiceover and giving instruction. So like I'll ask a question later about videoing your own stroke, but I think it's super helpful to have that visual with the verbal instructions too. Like the format of your instruction is just so helpful.
It's like if you had 5 balls and you throw them all at one time to a person and say, try and catch them. They might catch 1 or 2. And it's the same thing when you're working on your stroke. It's just like 5 things is too many. And often 2 things is too many as well. But, 1 to 2 is kind of generally our maximum. And I mean, I think back to my own stroke. So Taz gave me some things to work on with my breaststroke, and worked on them pretty well before our Thailand camp and came together nicely. And then she was giving me some more. She was kind of coaching me a bit in January for another race that I had. And she's like, don't forget to kick down with your breaststroke. For me, that was one of the things I had to change. And I was like, oh, that's right. I completely forgot. I was thinking about another thing. So it's just so like, we we're simple creatures, and I think we just need that really lasered in focus. And for most people with their stroke, it's going to be, one thing, maybe two things for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It can be quite a while, and it just takes time. And if anytime I've given someone too much to think about, it hasn't worked out that well for them. So that's why we keep it simple.
Awesome. Well, that is a perfect segue to my next few questions, because they're about mindset as it pertains to swimming. So like for me, when I'm in the pool is very different, and when I'm swimming is very different than Bridget. Bridget always tells me that she has so much time to think about all the things in her life, and I'm like, all I have to think about is my fingers, and is my thumb together with my fingers. Like I'm still so engrossed in all of the pieces of my stroke. So this question is for you, Tas, because I'm really hoping that it's not an answer of it depends. But how do you help your swimmers so that they're not overthinking their stroke when they're in the pool, and they do have time to just enjoy the swim or just, make corrections, but not overthink and spiral?
Yeah, I think, it's very similar to what Brenton said now in terms of, how much feedback you want to give the swimmer. So I think breaking it down, giving them, even if it's just like one clear focus at a time, not 10 things to think about. That's generally the first one, right? And then I think secondly, if you want to like link that to how to get the most out of it when you're swimming and not overthinking, is try and like keep the cues simple and feel based. I think like we both coach pretty similar like that, and that's where you get like all the analogies and the examples, and like we try and be as creative as we can in terms of like really just trying to get across what you should aim to feel. I think if you can chase feel in the water, and you just keep it simple like that, things will naturally start to click. And then you're only thinking about that, right? You're not thinking about everything else. So I think that would really be my recommendation there. If you are overthinking, just cut it down to one simple thing. If that simple thing is just controlling how you're breathing, then so be it. Sometimes you actually need to just like throw everything out and take like a reset session where you're actually not even thinking about any technique, and you're just focusing on, you just want to have a really great swim. And you'll find then that the minute it goes out, you're swimming so nice and comfortable, right? So I would say it's just about constantly reminding yourself about that. An example I can give is when we do camps, we do like a first analysis, then there's a bunch of coaching, and then we do like analysis at the end. And when we do the analysis at the end, you can see the guys are like, they've got their list and their checklist, right? And they're swimming like mechanical. And then sometimes we have to pull the swimmers aside and be like, stop, like don't think about it. Just swim, try and find your flow. And then you see them swimming like so beautiful. So if you do find yourself overthinking, either stick to one thing and chase feel, or do a complete reset. Just focus on having like the best swim that you can, and try and chase that I call it like a waltz, like that rhythm in your swim, and you'll likely find that you'll end up swimming far more effortlessly than what you originally were doing.
And one thing Tas mentioned there, and that I see she's really good at coaching, is it like cues. So the thing about cues, let's say it's like ride and glide, for example. So we want to try and get someone to stretch out and just like keep the arm in front a bit longer. It's ride and glide. The thing about a cue is it's all these little things kind of built into one phrase. So if we think about trying to get someone to just keep their arm in front a little bit longer to extend forward so they can glide on and get a bit more distance per stroke, if all those steps would be, okay, enter, take longer to reach forwards, rotate your hips and shoulders, then start your catch. It's like all this list of things. But if you can condense all of that into a simple phrase or a cue, especially if it rhymes, it's even better, or it's kind of weird. That's a great way to make that change. And a lot of Olympic swimmers will sort of have a cue for their stroke when they're racing, because you don't want people to think when they're racing, but a cue might be like, long and strong, or it's like, keep your length, just something simple like that. But if we can condense it to a phrase, then quite often people can get all these different movements into one word.
Nice. And I think based on Tas's description, I think Grace is like an elite swimmer. She has like that just keep going, like swimmer's high, swimming by
I
feel
do.
only.
I'm a much better runner, and I've never gotten a runner's high. I'm a horrendous swimmer, but I love nice and slow and steady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Horrible
And on the
form.
flip side, I'm like hands. I come from a gymnastics background, so I'm like trying to do jazz hands all the time and make everything look pretty. And they're like, you know, catch your hands. And I'm like, but that's not cute. Like, I don't want to do that. Nice. So what do you think mental habits, or what mental habits do like swimmers have that either kind of get them stuck, or like what are some good mental habits that like springboard them into the next goal that they have, whether it's skill or time? Like what kind of like mental habits can you bestow upon us?
Go Tas, you're the psychologist amongst us, so yes.
I mean, like if I just think of like the guys that end up doing really well, so you know that pit of discomfort that Brenton mentioned, I would say that's a really big thing. And so if you look at, okay, what are the traits and the mindset that you want so that you can kind of push through that. So it's normally swimmers that are patient, consistent, and I would say curious about their stroke too. So they're aware that it might be tough now, and that's not the point. The point is just about trying to focus on, you know, like the one small thing, and the wins will end up coming. The guys that are quite keen on understanding the stroke, I've found have that's kind of been a big change, just because then they're really just trying to, as I said, like just getting like that back end of the stroke, and then they can ply better in the water. So like on the like our platform, guys will go back and forth with us in terms of they've been thinking about X, Y, and Z, and it's feeling this, and they're feeling this connection, and are they right? And like that's such a great way to think about it, right? Because then you're really just thinking about it, and you're not just doing it. So I would say, yeah, patient, consistency, curious about their stroke. I found swimmers that get stuck a little bit, they're more just chasing the fitness aspect, and they don't necessarily maybe want to learn the skill, or maybe they've got a bit of a mental block in terms of learning the skill. They also just want changes to happen right now, right? And unfortunately, like that's just not the case. It might be the case for some swimmers, which is amazing, but you kind of just have to know that changes will come with time, and not to get discouraged when progress isn't instant. So I think like overall, swimmers who improve, they genuinely treat swimming like it's really just a skill that they're learning, not something that they should already be good at, and not something they should already be really quick at. It's like a tool in the toolbox. Yeah, that's kind of like how I like to think of it. Yeah, no, go Brent.
Sorry, Tas. Just on that curiosity, I mean, a lot, like you guys, I'm sure, are all curious about your stroke and wanting to get better, and that you've got that openness to change. So a couple of years ago, I had a swimmer come to a camp, and we had a 30-minute one-on-one for 3 days in a row. And for the first 29 minutes of that 30-minute private, he wanted to tell me all the reasons why he couldn't improve his body position. It's like, come on, like if you want to get better at something, let's just like, all right, we'll take things how they are, but let's get working on it. I don't need to know all the reasons why this is going to be hard for you. So, and like he just wasn't, even though he came to a camp, he just was not open to like really getting instruction. And so like that's probably a rare case, to be honest, to people who come to our clinics and camps. Like if you're normally coming along, you want to get better. But those people who are just open about it, and they're not they're not worried about maybe looking bad or like, you know, making mistakes. It's like, try lots of different things. When we're doing clinics and camps, we like people to experiment with head position and rotation. It's like, we'll go head really deep, head really high, play around with it and just see what works, see what feels best. So like, give yourself permission to play around with some of these things in your stroke. Don't get boxed into one way of doing it.
Yeah, I love that. I also coach softball for my daughter's team. And one of the things that we mention to them all the time is making sure that they're consistent. So like Tas, that really speaks to me when you're like, consistency is key, and making sure that you just keep showing up, right? And then
show up.
Yeah. And then Brent, like that aspect of like being comfortable, being uncomfortable. We tell that to our girls all the time on our team too, is like, just throw your body into it. Like if it works,
She'll be back
amazing.
in a
If it
second.
doesn't, then like you kind of like tweak it again. It's awesome. It's great. Being uncomfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So like just throwing your body into it, and if it works, it works. But like just making that concerted effort to try something different. So Brent, to your point of like, pull your head up, push your head down, like what feels the best, what is the most efficient in the water. So I feel like, Brent, you did just give us a it depends answer, which I appreciate, but I think Tas is rubbing off on you.
But I didn't say it though. That's the key difference between her and I. I did a politician's answer. I was able to like, say something without saying it. But to your point there, like I think the aspect of play is important. You know, the swimmers who are having fun, who are enjoying it, like they often progress really well. And it's the same thing. I find the same thing surfing, which is probably the other sport that I like equally as much, is the surfers out there who are like, you know, having fun and not putting pressure on themselves. They move so much better. Whereas those that are like, they're tense and they're like really in this fight or flight sort of mode, like they just, you can see how they move. And so with all these things that we do, if we can have this, I think, aspect of play about it, then we don't stiffen up, we don't overthink it, and we just move so much better. And as Tas alluded to before, it's like swimming is so much about feel. So we have to try and stay out of our head for the most part and just be present in the water.
Yeah. And to just be happy to be an athlete, right? Because that's what feels good, and you perform the best in that way. Yeah. Okay. Last question about mental performance. So what role do you all use, like video analysis, in critiquing your swimmers? And do you ever find, this isn't on our little outline we provided to you, but I'm curious if it ever has like hindered somebody's performance, and do you hold back on showing video because it kind of creates a mental block?
I mean, in terms of the role that it plays, it really shortens the gap, right, between what a swimmer thinks they're doing versus what they're actually doing. So if you don't have a coach on hand or someone that can, you know, constantly provide you with that feedback, what tends to happen and what we encourage is swimmers will rely on their feel, but feeling can be really misleading, right? So I'll throw myself under the bus here. So I'm a breaststroker, but I am a swimmer too. So backstroke is one of my strongest strokes. And we at one of the camps last week, we needed content, so I was swimming my backstroke, and I've got quite a bad crossover. So what I mean by that is like I don't know why, but like I enter like this in backstroke, and so I was like, oh crikey, okay. So I was like, worked on it really consistently for like 2 months, and I felt like I was exaggerating really my entry. Like it just felt super wide for me. And I got content, and I was like, I'm so keen to look at it. Like I'm so keen to show Brenton like how well like I've progressed. And if you see my video, my arm's like this. And so it's like, it felt like I was making such great progress, right? But until I actually saw it in the video, it was a really nice way for me to see, okay, there's actually far more room, you know, to improve. So I think that's the beauty with analysis. It's just like a check-in point. So just to kind of make sure that what you're feeling versus what you're actually doing, and trying to bridge that gap there. And then just on that note, in terms like if it's failed a swimmer or maybe done, you know, not what we wanted, I don't know about you, Brenton, I really haven't had that experience yet. That being said, I think, you know, we try and be quite mindful of how much information we are giving a swimmer, because I think like a lot of the swimmers, some of them will say like they feel maybe a little bit too embarrassed to send the video for analysis. And so we understand like the weight of it, and we understand like how just how they're feeling about it, you know. And so because of that, in terms of like the feedback that we try and give, I think we do try and be quite not necessarily sensitive, but more just keeping things really simple so that they don't have to overthink it, because it's already something that they are so maybe self-conscious about, you know. So I think it's, as a coach, it's just about us being mindful of that and just making sure that the feedback we're giving is only helping and not hindering.
Again, the kindest
That's
answer
awesome
we could
answer.
get. Yes, because I was saying at our first and our latest swim meet, I felt like I was a freaking torpedo in that water. And looking back at the video, I was like, oh gosh, that's what that looks like. Like I felt like I was speeding, and that is not what that looks like. So I appreciate that. And it is really
So
difficult
that-
to get on video or to like go in front of somebody and perform something, even if it's swimming, you know, it's difficult to make yourself vulnerable in that way.
And like to your point, I think majority of people are shocked by how they look in the water when they first see themselves swim. But to me, that's like, you've got to rip off the Band-Aid to let it heal. Like, it's like, you've kind of got to go through that initial pain. It's like, oh, okay, that's how it looks. But all right, now we can actually get started on making changes.
Yep.
Yeah. But coaches, please don't just keep telling me what I'm doing wrong so I don't have to look at it. I'm just kidding. The video was very helpful because, you know, you think you're doing one thing, and to your point, Taz, like my arm is still crossed over. Exactly.
That covered a lot of questions. How about we do a couple quick rapid fire ones to wrap up the Q&A, and then let you guys close out of respect for your time. You guys have been so gracious, and this has been awesome. But a couple of rapid fire. I'll go with 2, and then April will go with 2. So what is one cue that you feel works for almost everybody that we could take away?
3, 2, 1, go.
I think mine would be just swimming tall and long through the water, just because body position is, I think it affects really all swimmers on any level. So I think, you know, as Brenton was saying, with like the type of cues even like elite athletes would use, that would be one of them. So yeah, that would be mine. Tall and long. I think it, yeah.
Yeah, mine would be length. People tend to shorten up. So yeah, similar thing, length.
Love it. How about your best advice for a swimmer who feels exhausted after 50 meters?
Asking for a friend.
Stop kicking so hard.
I love that answer.
Maybe kick harder, Brent. That's what I heard. Stop kicking so hard.
It's either that or just, I mean, yeah, it's like how they breathe, or quite often how hard they're kicking. So I'll just stick to one. I'll keep it simple. Stop kicking so hard.
All right. Taz, you got one?
Mine would be, just slow down. Like a lot of the swimmers just gun for it. Just, you'll benefit so much just from slowing down your stroke.
Yeah,
Awesome.
That's one of my bad habits. And then I'm like hyperventilating. Yeah, I feel you on that.
Oh, April's full gas. The warm-up set is full gas for April.
Yeah, all gas, no breaks.
That's where it counts.
All right, so what is one habit that swimmers should stop immediately?
Timing your warm-up would be one.
I feel attacked.
Yes, you should.
That
In the best way possible.
Expound on that. Meaning, don't say I'm going to warm up for 10 minutes, or you meaning setting actual time limits on your 100 or your 200?
No, so yeah, like actually looking at how fast you're going in your warm-up. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that, April.
I think so. Mine speaks to before would just be to stop just trying to muscle through every stroke, because like pulling hard is just creating more tension. So swimmers just will feel better if they can just honestly just relax more. Find that like 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I think we all need to swim in Grace's lane for a day.
I love that lane. They all swim together. I swim alone.
And then last rapid fire question. What do you think is the biggest, or like, what do you think is one change that has the biggest return on investment that swimmers can make right away?
Well,
Balance would be my answer. Yeah, finding your balance, because if you're not balanced in the water, then it doesn't matter how strong and fit you are, you're going to be working against a lot of drag. So yeah, finding your balance.
I'm thinking specifically of one video that I saw of yours, but can you elaborate on what you mean in balance? I'm hoping I'm on the same track as you are.
So a balance in terms of body position is one. So we want to be horizontal, head, hips, heels at the surface, but also balance in your rotation as well. Mm-hmm. So if you are unbalanced and you're trying to go through your catch and your pull, then you're not going to be very well connected with the rest of your body. So it's balance in terms of body position, but also rotation. Because if you're trying to apply power when you're off balance, that power is going to be it's going to be a lot of wasted effort that way.
Nice. I wasn't thinking like head, hips, feet. I was thinking more of your second part of like the rotation. And when that was one of the things that was super helpful for me, was like just feeling like you're on almost like a half pipe, just kind of like floating through the water, like back and forth. So good to know that I was right there with you. And then Tas,
I heard this from another coach, Carlin Pipes, who's a swim coach. She says you want to be rocking in the water, not rolling. So rolling would imply you're really turning to 90 degrees. But if you're just rocking gently side to side, you'll maintain your balance, but still get those benefits of rotation.
That's incredible advice incredible advice from both of you. And now, like, we tease Grace all the time for being Nemo at the end, but now, like, we definitely have a lot to learn from her.
Yeah, she's got soft hands for sure.
Yeah,
I do.
So one question, as we're wrapping up, it's not really a question, but I've gained a lot of insight from your content with the pro swimmers like Kaya Melverton and Dan Smith, and you use them as examples for a lot of like what to do right. And it's just, to me, it's amazing that you get the chance to work with those Olympic level athletes and professional triathletes, and just thank you for what you guys do, because it helps the everyday people that are trying to do this sport and do it for fun. And I'm not winning my age group. I'm not out there to beat anybody. I'm out there because I can and because I love to do it. And you guys help people like me get to do it. And so I just
all of us,
thank you guys for all of that.
Yeah, and I can't wait to come to a swim camp. I'm so excited.
Maldives, here we come.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us on the podcast. We'd love to have you guys at a camp sometime in the future. So I mean, we love what we do. We love working with people like yourselves. It's it very rarely feels like work for us, because Tas and I we both love swimming, and I think being able to coach others or help others in something that they want to get better at, we get a lot of fulfillment from. So we do appreciate you having us on.
Awesome.
No problem. And I want to plug your guys' platform just to let people know that this resource is out there. Look at the content, join the club if you can, or if you want. It's invaluable, and I encourage people to do it. You guys have great gear. We all use your goggles. I just got a new pair.
Thanks, Chad.
So you guys have been great, and hopefully we get to see you in person at one of the camps, and this was amazing. Thank you for your time.
And for Manhattan Tri Club, you can find us on all the socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, at Manhattan Tri Club. And then go ahead, Brenton and Tas, where can we find you all?
If you just search Effortless Swimming, you'll find us on all the main platforms. So whether you like Instagram or YouTube, just check us out on either of those at Effortless Swimming. And if you want to, get in touch with either of us through Instagram is probably the easiest way, or you can probably email me directly at branch@effortlessswimming.com. And hopefully see you at a camp sometime soon. We've got them in Japan in July. We're adding another one there. And then we've got Thailand, Maldives, Tahiti, and I think that's it for the year. But yeah, we have a few different locations each year, so lots of options for people. And we've got a few American clients who want us to go somewhere closer, like the Bahamas and a few other locations. So we'll see.
Awesome. And I personally have a passport appointment on Friday, so I'll see you in all of those places.
Yes, and I have a passport. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being gracious.
Awesome.
A special thanks to Tas for getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning in South Africa to do this with us.
If you ever
now instead of coffee.
Yeah.
come visit us in Chicago.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.